All right. So thanks, Topher, for joining. And then I know that's very early for you. Thanks for accepting. And then I'm looking forward for your talk. So please go ahead. The stage is yours now.
All right. Thank you for having me. I'm going to share my screen. You know what? Before I do, I'd like to do a poll. You guys can either write in the chat or just raise your hands or somehow indicate how many people are already doing e-commerce in any way, or anything in e-commerce. I think Zoom has a thumbs up feature. Okay, there's a couple of hands. Cool. Anybody running a store, like selling stuff? All right, cool. Can't see names. Washington Redskins, man. I can't see names. What are you selling? I think you have to unmute. There you go.
We are a membership site. So I sell memberships to our content as well as webinars and recordings of webinars, ebooks, and things like that. We are a financial advisory research kind of a entity. So we sell artifacts around financial knowledge, research articles and things like that.
All right, cool. Can you guys see my video?
Not yet.
Actually, no.
Oh, I thought you could all this time. Just a second. Just a sec. Switch.
Since it was no, we're still not able to. Since it was way too early for you, I thought like you didn't want to show how you look.
No. No, I dressed up for you guys. I don't know why it doesn't see my camera, but that's okay. I'm going to present my screen anyway the whole time. So let's jump right to that. You can see my screen now, right?
Yep.
All right, great. So this is an introduction to BigCommerce for WordPress. A little bit about me first. My name is Topher DeRosia. I am a senior developer advocate at BigCommerce. That means my job is to work on behalf of developers outside the company, as well as represent the company to those developers. So if a developer comes to me and says, hey, I'm having trouble with something with BigCommerce, then I can go to bat for them with the company. And then when the company fixes it, I go back to them and say, hey, check it out and help them through it. You see a hashtag there, BC for WP. I tweet a lot there about BigCommerce for WordPress. So if you're interested in following that on Twitter, that's a great place. You can find me everywhere on the internet at Topher1Kenobi. Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Slack, you name it. I have Topher1Kenobi. I'm on the Make WordPress Slack all the time, so you can always find me there. I've been a web developer for 25 years. Since before there were pictures on the internet, my wife likes to say. So it's been a long journey. And then I've been a WordPress developer for 10 years now. When 3.0 came out, I fell in love and couldn't go back. So for our agenda today, we're going to take a look at BigCommerce for WordPress, how it's built and how it works. And then we'll look at some themes, plugins, and integrations, and some common use cases. And then if you want, we can do a demonstration. We'll see how much time we have and if there's interest. So a quick overview. When we wanted to, well, let me back up just a little bit in history. BigCommerce wanted to do headless e-commerce, which means that you can use the BigCommerce engine for your e-commerce, but then build your front end any way you want. WordPress, React, Drupal, whatever. But traditionally, BigCommerce is just a BigCommerce company. And so when they decided to go with WordPress, we hired Modern Tribe, which is a internationally recognized WordPress VIP agency. And we told them we want to build this the WordPress way. We don't want this to be a custom PHP app in Laravel or something like that. We want this built the WordPress way. And they're good at that. And so it is built the WordPress way, which means that you as a WordPress developer can come into it and pretty quickly figure out what's going on and how to extend it and things like that. All that said, it's still project managed and driven by BigCommerce. We make the decisions, we decide the direction of the plugin and things like that, and we meet we meet weekly and decide what we want to do next. So why WordPress? We could have picked anything for our headless venture. We picked WordPress. And one of the reasons is that it powers at least 36% of the web. It might even be more now, but it goes so fast, the slides get out of date. And more than that, WordPress was the most used CMS by our merchant base. And so it's extremely common for someone to set up two sites, to have a BigCommerce site to sell their things and a WordPress site to market them with a blog or whatever. And so we wanted to work with those people who already have WordPress going somewhere and merge those two sites. Another reason is there's really only one option under ongoing development for selling physical products in WordPress, and that's Woo. And anytime there's a market with only one option, there's room for another option. So we wanted to step in, and we don't necessarily want to destroy Woo or overtake Woo or anything like that. There are some problems that Woo has, and we want to provide solutions for those problems, to come alongside, to work with, and to fill out the space. One of my coworkers said the other day, we want to democratize e-commerce, and we want to do that with Woo. So we solve some very serious issues with WooCommerce, and we'll get into some of those issues later. And we wanted to provide both power and flexibility. So basic functionality, how does it work? Products are stored as a standard WordPress custom post type. So that's going to feel very, very familiar to you. And categories and brands are WordPress taxonomies. What's really different is that product data is managed in BigCommerce, not WordPress. So you create your products in BigCommerce and you manage them there. And then there's a synchronization process that pulls them into WordPress for you. So you never actually edit your products in WordPress at all. You edit them only in BigCommerce. And then that sync can run on a schedule or manually. You can see in the screenshot there's a button to resync that one product. And then also in real time, there are some webhooks. So, for example, when somebody makes a purchase, a webhook from BigCommerce reaches out to WordPress and increments inventory so that inventory keeps up. So that's how that basically works. There's the products live in BigCommerce and they synchronize over to WordPress. Please forgive my coughing. The shopping cart is on the WordPress site and is very normal. It's going to feel like every other shopping cart around. In the picture is a mini cart. You can also go to a full page cart, which you would get if you click the view cart button there. And then as products are added and removed, BigCommerce is kept up to date via the cart API so that inventory stays in sync. It knows that somebody has one of these in a cart somewhere. Don't sell it. As a side note, the BigCommerce API can handle 400 requests per second. So the chances of you overwhelming the API are pretty slim. Checkout is where things get really unique. Checkout can be either in an embedded iframe or on a standalone page, but both are on the BigCommerce servers. What we're looking at here on the right could be either. You can't actually tell. I was a little dubious of the iframe idea at first. I'm a web developer, and frames are frames. And if you're a web developer, you know the reputation of frames. But Modern Tribe did an amazing job. I'm very, very pleased. You really cannot tell that the checkout is an iframe. So there are reasons for either one. You might want embedded for one reason or the standalone for another reason. The embedded looks like it's part of the site, and so you're not leaving your own website, but it can't be customized as much as the standalone checkout. And then some payment gateways also don't work on embedded. However, the standalone checkout, while you leave your URL and you go to another page, you can leverage our checkout SDK and do some really extensive customizations. So if you don't need customizations, leave it right inside your own site and it looks amazing. And if you do need customizations, they're there and available to you, and you can really go to town. Themes, plugins, and integrations. Basically, any theme works. The only time we run into problems are if it's very old, and you probably shouldn't do that anyway, or if a theme is built specifically for WooCommerce. If they start embedding WooCommerce functions right into the theme, then of course that theme's going to break when you don't have WooCommerce. Many of those themes are simply labeled as eCommerce themes and assume that you're going to use WooCommerce. Watch out for that. It might make you sad. That said, we're starting to add some WooCommerce compatibility so that if there's a Woo theme that you really love, it would be less work to convert to BigCommerce for WordPress. The example we see on the right here is called Shoptimizer, and they have a version both for Woo and for BigCommerce. This is the BigCommerce version. And in my opinion, it's the best example of a theme built specifically for BigCommerce for WordPress. And they did a wonderful, wonderful job. There is a discount code that I could give you if you want it. I know several people using it and are very, very happy with it. We have an interesting relationship with the idea of plugins. An issue with WooCommerce is that you end up installing 25 or 30 additional plugins. And as long as they're well written, the number of plugins is not an inherent problem. However, when it comes time to update WooCommerce core, often many of the add-ons don't keep up and either have to be deactivated or replaced or something like that. So we wanted to make it so you didn't have to use add-ons. Pretty much everything works out of the one plugin. That said, we wanted to make space for plugins and add-ons so that people could do stuff if they want. Some examples are WP Rocket. That's the only caching plugin that has built-in support for BigCommerce for WordPress. But if you use WP Rocket, then you don't have to whitelist pages for BigCommerce for WordPress. It just takes care of it for you. There's custom support for Search WP and Facet WP. And one of my favorites here is Draw Attention. If you've never seen WP Draw Attention, you should go check that out. And as a testament, here on the bottom right, there's a review from someone who made an add-on. It's actually an Elementor beta for BigCommerce for WordPress. And he was able to pull that together in about 3 days because of the excellent code base in BigCommerce for WordPress. And that really pleased me. It was one of the first real tests of whether or not it worked. I mean, we wanted to make it easy to build add-ons for, but this was the first time somebody really stress tested, and it worked great. I was really happy with it. And as long as we're talking about page builders, BigCommerce for WordPress is fully Gutenberg compatible. We were one of the first plugins to be Gutenberg compatible. In fact, Matt Mullenweg put us up on the big screen at WordCamp Europe in Berlin as a model of how to do this, which is impressive because he owns the company that owns WooCommerce. So that made me happy. Beaver Builder, there's an add-on for Beaver Themer that they made, so you can build BigCommerce themes with Beaver Builder. And Elementor and Divi chose not to add on themselves. However, Ren Ventura, the guy from Elegant Modules, here you can see in the bottom right, he actually makes add-ons for all of these, and he built the beta for Elementor, and that's working very, very well. If you're interested in that, let me know. And then he's going to dive into Divi after that, and he's also going to do a lot more Gutenberg work for us. So that's very exciting. I'm really looking forward to all the options for page builders. So what we just talked about was WordPress add-ons, but this is BigCommerce integrations. These would be things that work in the BigCommerce servers on the back end. And we have an extensive app store, and these are things that are going to work after checkout. So inventory stuff, finance stuff like Quicken and that sort of thing. Anything that manages your data after checkout is going to work great. Things that are supposed to work on the front end, like you'll find things in the BigCommerce app store that say, we work on the front end, but they mean the traditional BigCommerce front end, and they probably won't work with WordPress without a little work. But that doesn't mean that can't be done. For example, ActiveCampaign contributed some work from their developers to make their app work on the WordPress front end as well as the BigCommerce back end. So if there's something you really want, speak up. I'm the developer advocate. Let me know. So let's look at some use cases. When to choose BC for WP. It's when rock solid support is needed. We do provide 24/7 phone support for merchants. So if your merchant has a question about finances or whatever, they can call anytime. But it goes way beyond phone support. We have specialists on staff who are available for consultation. So you can contact someone and ask questions about multi-currency, multinational translations, about anything e-commerce related. And as far as I know, BigCommerce for WordPress is the only plugin that offers phone support, 24/7 phone support of any plugin of any type in WordPress. So that makes me happy. And then when the e-commerce part of PCI compliance, when you don't want to do that, PCI compliance is a pain. And we manage that as long as you're using the embedded checkout or our standalone checkout, and you don't do something you shouldn't be doing, then PCI compliance is taken care of, and you don't have to think about it, and that's wonderful. BC for WP is great when a developer partnership is useful. If you become a BigCommerce agency partner, which means somebody we've certified to build for us or build, BigCommerce for WordPress sites, you get a dedicated BigCommerce representative, somebody you can call and say, hey, I've got this merchant with this crazy idea, and can BigCommerce do that? Or, hey, I'm trying to get my SSL certificate pushed through and it's just not happening. Can you go to bat for me and go talk to the tech guys? That sort of thing. You also get a 30% revenue share on the BigCommerce monthly fee to the merchant for new merchants brought in. So say your neighbor says, I want to sell on the internet, and you bring them to BigCommerce and get them signed up, then you get 30% of the fee that they pay to BigCommerce every month for as long as they're a merchant. the base price is $30 a month. So that would be $9 a month that you would get. Which, you know, doesn't sound like a whole ton, but if you get a whole bunch of them, or they grow and they move up and, you know, they scale up in price, then you could be looking at some substantial income from that. You also get invitations to the company town hall meetings, and you kind of get to peek behind the curtain and see our roadmaps, our changes, how things are going, what we're going to do in the future, and things like that. This is not generally public information, so you become an insider, basically. I know quite a few people that have done this and become an agency partner, and you can do it even as a single person. You don't have to have a big company or something like that, and it works out well. And in fact, let me do a sidebar here. I think if you're a solo freelancer, doing e-commerce with BigCommerce for WordPress is much safer than doing WooCommerce, because we handle so much of the security that you don't have to worry about, and we handle merchant complaints and things like that. It just feels a lot safer as a solo freelancer. When resource management is important. Finances. BigCommerce for WordPress averages 30% cheaper annually than WooCommerce. And you say, hey, wait, WooCommerce is free. It is, but if you've ever run a serious WooCommerce store, you know you need 10 to 15 or 30 plugins to make it a full-fledged store. And if you go to the WooCommerce marketplace, they're usually about $50 a piece. That can get expensive quickly. With BigCommerce for WordPress, we have the one flat fee per month. The plugin is free, and there you go. System resources. With WooCommerce, your server resource needs grow with every sale. Every time there's a sale, a bunch of tables get bigger in the database, and it takes just a little more time to load the admin interface or the front end. And very successful WooCommerce stores end up being very, very slow. And because the BigCommerce database stuff is all stored on our servers, your WordPress site will never slow down with success. So that's a big deal. And then time. Very few, if any, plugins are needed for BC for WP, making regular updates easier and faster. I referred to this earlier. If you have an update for WooCommerce, then you might have 10 add-ons that have not kept up, and you need to go track them down, find out when they're going to update, maybe deactivate them, etc. Just a moment. I'm going to take a quick drink here. All right, let's look at some examples. Bulk Nutrients is a store from Australia, and they wanted to expand to Sydney. And with a traditional BigCommerce setup, they would have had to make a second BigCommerce account. With a WooCommerce store, they would have had to set up a second WooCommerce site. But because of the way we built this, they were able to spin up a second site off the same BigCommerce account running WordPress. So they're running two stores off the same BigCommerce account. So they have one inventory, they have one admin area, one account that they're paying for, all that stuff, and they're able to run two sites off it. And you can do as many as you want. You can do 10 or 15 or 20 sites off the same BigCommerce account. In fact, we have the system is called channels. And so say you set up your BigCommerce store, you can also sell on the Amazon channel. So you can push your products to Amazon, and also the Facebook channel and the Instagram channel and things like that. Well, now WordPress has also become a channel, and you can make as many as you want. So in addition to your main store and Amazon and Facebook and Instagram, you can sell on a variety of WordPress sites. So it's really, really flexible. So multi-storefront is really great. Multi-currency. We do the same thing basically with channels. And we call it multi-currency. It's actually multi-region. And we associate currency with a region. So Louise Kennedy has stores in the UK, Ireland, and the US. And the currency choice is based on GeoIP. Regardless of your opinions of GeoIP, it's kind of cool to have it figure out where you are and make an assumption about your currency. So Blush integrates a customer rewards point system. You can see right below add to bag there, it says earn 72 reward points. So excuse me. So people can be building up points and then get free stuff at the end. They also have a very excellent recommended product in their cart. You can't see it here. But when I added something to the cart, it popped up a thing below that said, hey, if you bought this thing, you might also like that other thing. It was very smooth. I liked it a lot. And then this is a good example of a CBD store. They have CBD products. And BigCommerce is one of the few e-commerce platforms in the world that will let you smoothly sell CBD stuff. So for more information, for general WordPress stuff, I recommend OS Training. If you go to the Winning WP channel on YouTube, I have probably 80 videos there about WordPress in general. They're very simple, so they're great for beginners. And then also WP 101 and WP Beginner. For BC for WP resources, we have developer docs. Good documentation on how to use it. And then we also have a developer Slack. So if you are a developer and you want to work on BigCommerce or WordPress at all, or use it in some way, let me know and I can get you on our Slack channel and you can talk to other developers about how they're using it. You can always email me at topher@bigcommerce.com anytime about anything. I'm just there all the time. And as I mentioned, you can find me at Topher1Kenobi. And now it's time for questions and optionally a demo if you want one. Let me stop my share here.
So let's just wait for people to have questions. So if you have a question, like you can leave in chat. So Topher,
Yes,
approximately how long do you think it will take for the demo? Because we're a little over time, but if it's going to take very little time, then I think we can go for the demo. But I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I could do a demo in 15 or 20 minutes.
Okay, maybe in that case, let's do the questions first. So that way, people can drop off if they need to, and others can stay for the demo.
Yep, that sounds great.
All right, so if you have any questions, post them in Slack and we'll get them answered.
Is there any documentation for creating a BigCommerce ready WordPress theme? You know, there isn't, and I should make some, but something I'd like to point out is it's very much simpler than making a WooCommerce theme because I think the vast majority of it is going to be based on CSS. The functionality doesn't change a whole lot. You don't have to build things like you do for Woo. So the majority of your work is going to be around the look and feel of it, the front end work. So it's really, I think it's gonna be a lot easier than a WooCommerce one. I'll write some docs though, because that's a good question. Is it too much a plugin for people who want just a payment system for services rather than store products? Depends on the scale of the services and things like that. It is a full-fledged store. So, if you have one thing you're selling, it might be worth putting up a gravity form with a PayPal checkout or something like that, rather than spending $30 a month on a full-fledged store system. But you're gonna have to evaluate that yourself, and at some point, you're gonna grow and move up to it. It certainly doesn't hurt to start very simple and use something simple. I know Pippin Williamson's company just released a Stripe processing system that makes it really easy to sell one or two things. There's no cart. It's very, very simple, but it's a very inexpensive way to test if things are going to sell. And I'm all about minimum viable product and testing before you go big with a store. I see names that I know. Hello, friends.
So there was also one more question in the chat. So do you see?
Oh, I see there.
Yeah. So do you see BigCommerce as a would you consider that as a replacement for WooCommerce, or what would be your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you certainly can't run them both at the same time. So we would step in and do what WooCommerce does. We do have a slightly different feature set. So there's a place for WooCommerce, and then there's a place for BigCommerce. So if you're running Woo and you're running into the problems that I've described, then maybe it's time to replace Woo with BigCommerce. We are exceptionally similar in what we do. So I guess you could say we're a replacement for WooCommerce. But like I said earlier, we don't want to completely replace WooCommerce in the space. I don't want the reversal where we completely take over and once again there's only one. That would not at all be what we want. We want to work in harmony with WooCommerce to democratize e-commerce. Thanks, Jeremy.
Yeah, I think while we wait for more questions, I think we can get started with the demo, and
Okay.
so people can keep asking the questions in chat, and after the demo, I think we could do one more round of answering questions.
All right, I'm going to share my screen. So I'm going to use it's weird. I'm going to use local WP and spin up a new server for you. Let's see. There we go. I don't know if you've ever used local, but I use it a lot, and I really like it.
I used to use that a lot, but these days I moved to Docker. But earlier I used to this used to be my default local setup.
Yeah. Let's see. Can I copy that? That's what I thought. It's gonna go. I don't want Firefox. I want to come back to Chrome. Can you see this okay? Should I zoom?
If it's possible, can you zoom it a bit? I mean, it's still okay, but
oh yeah. Let's do this.
Maybe you could just increase the font size in the browser alone. that should be fine, I guess.
Is that better?
Yeah, this is way better.
Okay, cool. All right, so then we go to add new and search for BigCommerce. And you'll find it right there in the WordPress repository. One of the downsides to running local is that sometimes it takes a little longer to install stuff. And we'll activate. And then once you've activated, it's going to walk you through creating an account for BigCommerce or let you connect one if you already have one. You get a 15-day free trial with BigCommerce. So you can, if you want, you can just create a new account. I'm actually going to connect an existing account. If you do this a lot, you can just drop in some API credentials. But I'm going to connect account. And then this works very similar to authenticating with Twitter or something like that. So I'm going to log into my BigCommerce store. And then I have to authenticate. Please hold. And now it's connected. So just like that, my WordPress site is now connected to BigCommerce. For channels, you can either select an existing channel or you can create a new one. If you're making a new store, I always suggest creating a new channel. And it's probably going to be your domain name. And that's fine. It's handy for keeping it organized. You can choose to import all new products or import none and later choose selectively only a few products. And then down here, you can keep webhooks enabled or disabled. I'm going to disable them because I'm behind, or leave them disabled because I'm behind a firewall. But you probably want to keep them enabled most of the time. And then you can choose to have either a full featured store or simple blogging. And simple blogging doesn't create some pages that you don't need if you're not going to have a full store, etc. Usually I just do full featured store, and it just created a bunch of pages. And I can also optionally make an e-commerce menu out of the pages that it created. If you don't want to, you can skip right here. And the WordPress part is done. It's set up. You still want to do things like create your own products, configure your payment methods on BigCommerce, your shipping zones, and your taxes. And all of that happens on BigCommerce. So if I were to open this in a new tab, for example, I have my tabs turned off, or visible tabs turned off. Let's do new window. There we go. So that took me directly to the payment area of BigCommerce. And you can, it's very simple. You fill out a couple of forms. We have hundreds of payment gateways all around the world. So it makes it easy to sell just about any place. So let's see. This launch steps section on the left here is going to remain as long as these things are not complete. You need to set up SSL, etc. Once those things are done, this menu item goes away. Under settings, and it'll continue to tell you, hey, you need to set these things up. Let me hit refresh here real quick because, yeah, that's what I thought. On this channel, I already have done those things, so now they're gone. It just finished syncing the products. So a new account comes with 13 pretend products, example products, and those were just imported, and you can see them right here. They're in here in WordPress, and you could edit them, but you should not. If you do, then they will stop syncing from BigCommerce, and you would have to reset them to get them to sync again. Under settings, you can choose your sync schedule. By default, it's every 5 minutes, but you can go to 30 or an hour or a day, a week, or a month. When I'm developing, I like a month because I don't like it just banging away on the server. And the same question here about listing all products or just a few. And then import batch size. Our API is way faster than WordPress can handle. You may recall that when WordPress creates an account with images, it makes a bunch of sizes. Well, it does the same thing with products. It makes 3 or 4 image sizes. And so we recommend that you only pull in 5 at a time, process them, and then pull in 5 more. And if you have a very powerful server, you can increase that. If you have a budget server, you can decrease that, etc. And then there's that webhooks question again. For cart and checkout, you can optionally disable the cart. So if you have one product, people can go directly to checkout. You can choose to have an Ajax cart or not. In the demo or in the slideshow, I showed you the little pop-up Ajax cart. You could have it instead go directly to a full page for the cart. And then you get to choose which WordPress page is the cart. And I don't have SSL enabled right now, so I can't do an embedded checkout. If I did have SSL enabled, then I would be able to choose my checkout page as well. We can handle gift certificates. They're mostly handled on the BigCommerce side, but here you get to choose which pages the customer will use to manage their own. Currency settings, not a whole lot going on here. Most of that's on the BigCommerce side. Accounts and registration. So this is for customers to sign up and manage their own account. We do wish lists, and so they can manage their own wish lists. Analytics settings, product reviews, API credentials is where your API stuff sits. Channel just lists what channel this is running on. You can put some code into a plugin or your theme to do more than one channel. That allows you to do multi-region or multi-currency or something like that. And then the diagnostics area, you can enable error logs and find out, like if your sync is not working, you can find out what's going on there. Categories and brands are just taxonomies, so that's very normal. I'm going to show you, I haven't done anything with theming yet. So I'm going to grab a different theme because I don't like 2020 very much. I really like Generate Press. The default has 1 or 2 CSS bugs with our stuff, and we're working on fixing that, but it's really nice. So then the other thing I need to do is hook up my menu. Here's the menu that we created during install. So I'm going to say make it primary, and then also make it work for AMP. We're fully AMP compatible. We hired XWP to make it AMP compatible, and they did such a good job that when they were done, Google hired the team to do WordPress AMP stuff. So now let's look at the homepage. Let's see. In a new window. So here's our admin menu, or e-commerce menu. So we go to all products, and this is what it looks like out of the box. So this is default CSS. And here's one of those little bugs I was telling you about. The add to cart button is a little too big, or the choose options button is a little too big in this theme. So I need to fix that. But we have things like quick view. So there's a little pop-up here. If you add to cart, then you can see use Ajax to populate the cart and put a little thing here. And then if I click, there's our Ajax cart. And here's another CSS bug. I need to fix that button. You can view cart, and then we're going to go to the standalone page because we're not running SSL right now. But that's what the checkout looks like when you're standalone. Then we have a whole bunch of stuff under the customizer, which is really great. You can manage the text on all of the buttons. You can manage the colors for buttons and things like that. Well, let's do the catalog first. So this is the catalog page. You can change the slug for the main page or category or brand. So right now I am at /products, but if you wanted to change it to /shop or something like that, you could. You can put a page description in, and then here for sorting, here's your sort by. You can choose what goes in that drop-down list, and then filters. You could say I want only garden or whatever. You could say I don't want categories at all. I want brands and sorting. You can choose how many are in the grid and how many per page. We're going to leave it at 24. And then you can disable quick view. Oh, I just made it 31. You can disable the quick view if you want. So now when you click on the image, rather than a quick view, it goes to the single product page. And the single has everything you'd expect. There's a image gallery, descriptions, specifications. You can do reviews. There's related products, etc. So I'm going to actually go now to the product single part of the customizer. So right now I'm showing 4 related and they don't fit. That's really because the customizer is open. They would fit if it weren't. But if I had a narrow theme, I can change that to have only 3. You can choose a default image if your product doesn't have one at all. You can make the gallery extra large and push this down here again because the customizer is open. If it weren't, it would still fit over here. You can enable image zoom, so we can do this sort of thing. Let's do it. Get really close. Prices. We store the price in the local database, but we actually load it over the API every time so that we are very sure to get the real price. And let's see, I'm going to publish. Watch the price and you'll see it. Oh, nope, it didn't. It disappears for a second, then fades in because it's coming from the API. If you don't like that fade in, you can hide. Is it doing it? Yeah, it just faded in with show default price. If you hide the default price, then it's blank for a minute. And that's totally up to you. It's just a visual thing. And then there's inventory or not. I'm not currently tracking inventory on my products, so that doesn't work. But if I were tracking inventory, it would say right here how many I have left. And then for the cart, there's this mini cart, which doesn't actually work with the customizers open, oddly enough. You can disable that and go directly to the main cart page. And then in the cart, if you have no products, you can decide what to say, whether to link people to the home page or to your product page or whatever. And there's that text. And let me close this. So there's that. I'm going to remove this. And there's where it says your cart is empty. So that's that text I was talking about. And that's pretty much it. Let me get over here. This is the admin for BigCommerce. This is where orders are managed, where products are managed. It's very intuitive. Honestly, it's very WordPressy. They took a lot of inspiration from WordPress. So that's what that looks like. And that's the end of my demonstration. So I'm going to stop the share and look for more questions.
Thanks, Topher. I think there were a couple of more questions that have come up. So I can read them for you. The first one is
Yeah,
about.
I can see them.
Sure. So the first one is about the conditional checkout. So
yeah, we don't have that built in, but that's something you could easily do. You have access as a developer. You have access to the cart, and you could look at the categories of what's in there. And if there are 5 of the same category, you could alert him somehow. What are the product types available? You can do digital and physical. I'm not sure if there are other types you're thinking of. If there are other types, let me know. Can you talk a little bit about print-on-demand dropship integration? We have back-end integrations with BigCommerce for a number of dropship places. So you can choose which one works for you. This is not really related to WordPress that much. It's because it happens after checkout. So rather than look for a WordPress add-on, you would go to the BigCommerce Apps Resource Center and look at what dropshipping options are available. I know there's a whole bunch of them. We work with all the main ones. Tax calculation. Haha. So taxes are horrible. And we have built-in integration for Avalara and TaxJar. And Avalara is very international and works everywhere in the world. And so I strongly recommend you do not mess with taxes yourself. You use Avalara and they take care of everything, and it's glorious. So that's what I have to say about taxes. It's really, really smooth. You don't have to think about it once you hook up Avalara. Let's see. That's all that I have so far.
So there are, I think, 2 more questions. One was about are there any multi-vendor support? Like,
No, there isn't that yet. It's on the roadmap, but it's probably going to be a while. So if you want multi-vendor, that's one of those areas where WooCommerce still shines.
Okay, I'm just going to scroll up the chat just to make sure that we didn't miss any questions. Looks like we have answered all the questions.
All right.
I know that we are way over time, but thanks, Topher. Oh, okay. We're not way over time. We are just like over by a minute. So thanks, Topher. Thanks, Topher, for taking time and then explaining this to us. This looks actually very interesting. I'm just like trying. I think like I should probably wait for a use case where I should give it a try. But I think it.
Oh, sure.
As you said, it's a very good alternative in the ecosystem, in the e-commerce ecosystem for WordPress, I guess. So
yeah,
it's something that
if you're interested in doing it in the future, I recommend becoming the agency partner because it comes with some training, and then you're ready. When somebody shows up and says, "I want to use it," then you're ready to go. You don't have to go, start doing all that stuff. So if you go to BigCommerce.com, there's a link for partnerships. So you want to look for partnerships.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I had a great time. Nice to see friends.
I think like wherever you go, friends follow. So, or I should probably say like, you have friends all over the world. So like wherever you go, I think you're going to probably meet someone.
Yep, I really do. It's a blessing. All right.
All right. Thanks, Topher. It was a nice session, and thanks everyone for joining. We will meet again next week.
Oh, I see one more question. Yes, you can export your products from BC. You can also import from WooCommerce. So you can go both directions really easy.